When I tell people I'm a cleaner, most of them smile politely and move on. They probably imagine me pushing a mop around an empty hallway, humming to myself, invisible to the world. But what they don't know is that being a cleaner means seeing things no one else does. The secrets people hide, the lives they live behind closed doors, I've seen it all. But one night something happened that I'll never forget, something that changed how I saw people forever. So here's my question to you. If you discovered a secret that could destroy someone's life, would you tell the truth or stay silent? Because I had to make that choice, and it still haunts me to this day. I work as a night cleaner in a large office building downtown. I started a few years ago after my husband lost his job. We had 2 kids to feed and bills piling up faster than we could pay them, so I took the job thinking it would be temporary. But 1 year turned into 2, and before I knew it, cleaning offices became my life. I actually didn't mind it at first. There was something peaceful about the silence at night. The soft hum of the air conditioning, the smell of lemon disinfectant, and the quiet company of my thoughts. Most people are asleep when I work, and that suited me fine. I didn't have to pretend or smile or explain why I was always so tired. The office building I cleaned belonged to a big company, one of those modern glass towers filled with fancy desks, expensive coffee machines, and people who wore suits that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My shift started at 10 p.m. and ended around 6 in the morning. My supervisor, Mike, was a decent guy, kind but strict about rules. Don't touch personal stuff, he always said. Just clean around it. And I followed that rule religiously. But one night, curiosity got the best of me. There was this one office on the 14th floor, belonged to a man named Mr. Carter. He was one of the senior executives, always the first to arrive and the last to leave. People said he was smart, powerful, and completely ruthless. I never met him in person, but I saw his photos on the wall. Tall, sharp jawline, perfect hair. He looked like the kind of man who got everything he wanted. His office was always immaculate. No dust, no clutter, everything perfectly arranged. Except one night, something was different. When I walked in, I noticed his desk drawer was slightly open. That was unusual. Mr. Carter was the kind of man who probably aligned his pens with a ruler. I hesitated for a moment, debating whether to close it. I told myself it wasn't my business, but then I saw something sticking out from the drawer, a corner of a photograph. My curiosity got the better of me. I pulled the drawer open just a little more and froze. Inside were stacks of papers, envelopes filled with cash, and photos, lots of them. Photos of people, women mostly. One of them looked eerily familiar. It took me a second to realize it was one of the receptionists, Emily. I stared at the photo, trying to make sense of it. Why did he have pictures of her? And not just her, there were several others too. Some of the photos looked private. I felt sick. I shouldn't have seen that. My hands were shaking as I pushed the drawer shut. I tried to convince myself that maybe it was something innocent, that maybe I was imagining things. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the image in my head. Who keeps photos like that? The next day, when I dropped my kids off at school and passed by the same building on my way home, I saw Mr. Carter outside. He was laughing with a few other executives, perfectly composed, charming. No one would ever guess what I had seen in that drawer, and that made it even worse. I didn't say anything for a while. I just kept going to work, cleaning the same floors, emptying the same trash cans, pretending I didn't know what I knew. But every time I saw Emily at the reception desk, I felt this twist of guilt in my stomach. She was young, maybe 24, with a kind smile and big dreams. She often stayed late, probably trying to impress the bosses. I wanted to tell her what I'd seen, but how could I? What if I was wrong? What if she thought I was some creepy cleaner making up stories? Weeks passed and I tried to bury it. But one night, everything changed. I was cleaning the 14th floor again when I heard voices. It was almost midnight and no one was supposed to be there. I froze, mop in hand, listening. The voices were coming from Mr. Carter's office. One of them was his. The other was Emily's. I crept closer, my heart pounding. I couldn't hear every word, but the tone said enough. She sounded scared. He was angry. I caught fragments. "You can't do this," she said. Then his voice, low and sharp, "You'll regret it if you talk." I didn't know what to do. My body was shaking. I backed away quietly, hid behind a column, and waited until the voices stopped. A few minutes later, Emily stormed out, tears in her eyes. Mr. Carter followed her to the elevator, his face cold. I ducked out of sight before he could see me. That night, when I went home, I couldn't stop crying. I'd seen something terrible, and I couldn't stay silent anymore. The next day, I tried to talk to Mike, my supervisor. I told him something strange was going on with Mr. Carter and that maybe we should report it. Mike looked nervous. "You didn't go through his stuff, did you?" he asked. I hesitated. "Just a little," I admitted. He sighed. "Then we can't say anything. They'll fire us. These people have lawyers, money, power. We're nothing to them." He wasn't wrong. Cleaners are invisible until we make a mistake. Still, I couldn't just pretend anymore. That night before my shift, I saw Emily again. She looked pale and withdrawn, like she hadn't slept in days. I finally gathered the courage to talk to her. I told her I'd seen something in Carter's office. She looked shocked. Then, after a long pause, she whispered, "He's been blackmailing me." She told me everything. Mr. Carter had secretly taken photos of her from the office security cameras and had been using them to manipulate her. He threatened to leak them if she reported him. She'd tried to quit, but he told her he'd ruin her career. My stomach turned as she spoke. This wasn't just creepy. It was evil. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you risk your job, your family's security, to expose a powerful man like that? Or would you stay silent and hope someone else would take the fall? I thought about it for days. I didn't sleep, barely ate. My husband noticed something was wrong, but I couldn't even explain it properly. Finally, I decided. I was going to expose him no matter what it cost me. I couldn't let him keep hurting people. I came up with a plan. I knew that the building had security cameras everywhere, except inside individual offices. But cleaners had access to maintenance closets that stored the network connections for the cameras. I didn't want to do anything illegal, so I didn't tamper with them. Instead, I decided to gather proof the right way. I waited until one night when Carter stayed late again. I knew Emily was there too. I kept my phone ready, hidden in my uniform pocket, recording audio. I didn't plan to eavesdrop, but I needed evidence. When I got close to his office, I could hear them again. He was threatening her, saying things like, "You'll never work in this city again." I was shaking as I held my phone, praying I was doing the right thing. Then I heard a loud crash, Emily shouting, "Don't touch me." I ran in without thinking. Mr. Carter froze, his hand midair, anger all over his face. I yelled, "Leave her alone!" He turned to me, stunned. Emily ran out, sobbing. For a second, it was just him and me. He sneered. "You have no idea what you just did," he said. "You'll regret this." But I stood my ground. "Maybe," I said, "but not as much as you will." I left immediately and went straight to the police with Emily. We gave them my recording and her statement. It was terrifying. I thought I'd lose my job, maybe even get sued. But I couldn't back down. The investigation took weeks. Mr. Carter denied everything at first, of course. But when the police searched his office, they found the photos, the money, everything. It turned out he'd been blackmailing several women over the years. The company tried to cover it up. But once the story leaked to the media, they had no choice but to fire him. He was arrested a few days later. Emily eventually left the company, but she sent me a message later, thanking me for standing up for her. She said I gave her courage when she had none left. That message meant more to me than any paycheck ever could. I, on the other hand, did lose my job for violating company policy. But you know what? I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt proud of myself. I wasn't just a cleaner anymore. I was someone who made a difference. A few months later, I found work at a local school. It doesn't pay much, but the people are kind and the place feels safe. Sometimes when I'm mopping the hallways late at night, I think about that office building. The glass floors, the expensive desks, and the secrets that hid behind those polished doors. I realize now that being a cleaner doesn't mean being invisible. Sometimes we're the only ones who see the truth. So if you ever think your job doesn't matter, remember this. It's not what you do that defines your worth. It's what you choose to stand for. Like this video if you were on my side, and subscribe for more real-life stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in my position? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next story.